What happens if this housing market never crashes? Hey everybody, Scott Walters. Welcome to the channel. If you're new, I want to thank you for coming. If you're returning, I want to thank you for your continued support. Before we get into today's red hot topic, I'm going to politely ask you to give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment below. I would love to hear from you. Please watch to the end for my final thought. Hit the bell icon so you're notified when new videos are released. It's very important to stay close to the channel in these very tricky times. All right, folks, welcome into the channel. I hope you're all doing great. Let me scoot up a little bit and get closer to you. So here's the thing, folks. We're going to have a very hard-hitting, a tough conversation today. I do my best to jump into the comments and read many of your comments and respond to them. I've corresponded with many of you. I do my best to give as much of myself as possible to not only other channels and content creators, but ultimately my subscribers. You guys are like number one here at the channel. And so one of the things I wanted to address today, folks, is I've read, this is a tough space for me because I'm a real estate agent, and most of you know I'm a real estate agent in a very euphoric Southern California market that was complete herd mentality and drinking of the real estate punch at astronomical levels. We are, in fact, and I've only been coming to YouTube now for less than a year. I think it's only been like 6 months or so, like maybe the height of the buying euphoria right around summer that I even came to YouTube. I saw another content creator giving straight talk, and it resonated with me. So I turned on my camera, no editing, no nothing, just turned on the camera and gave my 2 cents, and the channel was born. And since then, we've seen a lot of things transpire. Even in the past, I'd made reference not too long ago. I thought by the time we got to Christmas, we'd have seen a lot of things play out, and some serious things happen, and we've seen those things. We've seen inflation now be a runaway train. We've seen supply chains with cargo ships in the hundreds out in our ports unable to offload. We've seen, coming up for air, we've seen homelessness spike. We've seen Evergrande crash. We've seen Zillow get caught with their pants down. All that has happened. And I could go on. I know, like I say, I have smart people at the channel. I'm sure many of you are going to chime in with all this other craziness that we've seen happen. But one of the comments I recently read, and I've seen this before. I remember a while back I read a comment that said, I'm tired waiting for this market to crash. And I remember I've been put on the spot so many times with Scott. How often when do you think the market will crash? I think I have some links in the description below of interviews I've done on other channels with people asking me that, because that's the number one thing. That's the $1 million question. When will this market crash? And I get put on the spot all the time. The first person who put me on the spot was my good friend Dan over at I Allegedly. Put me on the spot. We were doing an in-person interview at a resort right here in town, and he's like, you think this market's going to crash soon? And I was like, wow, that is a tough one to me. You know what I said? No, I don't think it's going to crash. And I felt bad because I knew for his channel, because Dan's very hard hitting. Like, if you know Dan over at ILH, hard hitting, he's pulling no punches over there. He's reporting on stuff that's happening right now. And I felt bad because I would have loved to have told him, yeah, man, this thing's ready to pop. It's going to blow at we're one pinprick away from a collapse. Like, I'm sure that would have just been, very usable for him in his channel. I said I believe it's going to take at least a year, Dan, is what I told him. And we've talked about this before. This is not the crypto market. This is slow moving real estate, and we had a government holding it up with eviction bans and mortgage forbearance and foreclosure bans, and people living on unemployment benefits, people living on the government stimmies, and so that's going to take at least a year to play out. But I said, don't be surprised if something comes out of left field and takes us down. And since then, like we've talked about, we've seen a lot of things rear its ugly head. We've seen some volatility. We've seen big investors shrink back on their positions in the market. We've seen big economists make predictions that this market, I'm not the only channel predicting that we're at great risk here, for sure. So when I see somebody say, hey, Scott, you told me it was going to be a crash, and now the home that I wanted is even more than it was when I wanted to buy it. Like, I can't make up your mind for you. I can just let you know, personally, I'm on the sidelines, okay? But I own other property, so it's easy for me to be on the sidelines. But even if I wasn't, and again, I went through the last crash and lost a house. And because when I was helping buyers in this current buying euphoria, not one buyer asked me, hey, do you know what this property's rent range is? Nobody cared. And that was me in the last bubble. I didn't care. I just lender, this is how much I can afford a month. And they're like, great, you got a house. I'm like, woohoo, great. And then all of a sudden the economy turned and my income changed and I started to have to live off my savings. And when that depleted to make my housing payment, eventually I'm running on fumes. And there's only one last option. Give the property back to the bank, pull the plug, stop the bleeding. And that's what's going to happen to many people that bought in the height of this bubble if it bursts. They came in with minimum amounts down because if they had a small enough payment to at least turn it into a rental property, which is what they should be thinking about anyway, is making their property into rental property, forgo your own house temporarily, get some rental properties, live wherever you have to accumulate some investment properties. Coming up here. These people I would have been able to save my home. These people that currently bought the height with minimum amounts down, if this economy turns, which we gotta admit, there's a great chance it could, they're gonna lose their homes too. And I don't want them to. Believe me, I don't. I do not want anybody to go through what I went through. Listen, I did not enjoy the sleepless nights, everything I went through. It took years to come back from that. I've come back nicely. I don't regret it because I learned so much from it, but I certainly don't want to go through it again. I don't want to repeat the same mistake over and over again, expecting a different result. That's the definition of insanity. And we all know this has been an insane market. So folks, some final thoughts today. I just wanted to come here and really let you know, listen folks, we have some serious volatility. There's a lot of other content creators out there predicting the same thing I'm predicting, sounding the alarm, ringing the bell as well. I just happen to have found myself in the real estate space as a real estate agent coming and giving real talk, honest, transparent feedback. I could jump on the rainbows and sunshine cart with the other ones saying, listen, based on the data, as long as these interest rates stay low and demand and supply and demand and all the reasons, like I don't see a crash coming, no one will see this crash coming. I love my fellow agents. I love my fellow content creators, but with all due respect, they are all, I should say, most of them are wishing this market to continue out of self-preservation. And this is something that you will not see coming. You will not be able to make sense of it. Although right now we're starting to make sense of a lot of things that don't make sense. We're calling it out for what they really are. And what we're seeing is a volatile investment market that's been completely created out of thin air. The government, stimulus, tapering is coming, interest rates hikes are coming, and we're already teetering on a razor's edge with many of these markets. If the housing market doesn't correct, we are in big, big trouble, folks. We will be headed for some of these other channels like prepping and things like that, the Great Reset, Renter Nation. Those are the things we can look forward to. We need these markets to correct. We can't guarantee they will, but there is a great chance they will, and we will be lucky if we come out of this with a soft landing. So brace yourself, prepare yourself, be a level-headed realist. Play every scenario out in your mind so nothing catches you off guard, because we're coming through a serious situation with this economy, with our global economy, and it's not finished with us yet. It wants to play with us a little longer. So hang in there. Like I said before, stay close to the channel. We're going to continue to heat map this, temperature check it, and try to bring logic and level-headed temperature checks of what's going on in a way that's not too far over here or too far over here. I'm not going to go doom and gloom. I'm not going to go rainbows and sunshine. I'm always going to be right in the middle, trying to help anybody that needs help make sense of what's going on. So if you appreciate the content, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment below. Go make it count today. I'll see you on the next video.